poisonous work. Some morning she'd wake up, her back felt ready for a wrecking ball. She'd take 2 Tylenol, but hours later, pain had come back. She'd have to take more. She couldn't take it any longer. So her doctor said try Aleve.
I can take just 2 Aleve all day. With Tylenol, I was taking up to 8.
So she tried Aleve. Keeps her pain away up to 12 hours.
It's meant a great deal to her. Who did your hair?
Aleve. All day strong, all day long.
Ahead on WeatherScope, a comprehensive report on the latest weather across the nation. Plus, a look ahead, coming up on WeatherScope right after your local forecast. This is your local forecast. Weather information you can plan on, only on the Weather Channel.
Once again, a mixed variety of winter weather spreading across the east, bringing snow and ice farther north, while potentially severe weather is crossing the deep south. Good morning, I'm Will Annan in the Weather Channel studio. Later we'll have the forecast with Arctic air that will be gripping much of the country for the upcoming weekend. But first we go to the Weather Channel Forecast Center with the latest on the snow and rain storms in the east. And with that, here's Rick Griffin.
Thanks a lot, Will. Yes, we do have widespread precipitation in the east today. Most of it's frozen, by the way. Pockets of freezing rain, sleet, snow falling, Pennsylvania, westward into Indiana and Illinois. We'll take a look at the Indianapolis area coming up here in just a second. And there's also turbulent weather developing in the south, particularly southern Georgia and Florida. And there is a tornado watch area in effect, and we'll talk about that graphically, show you what cities are involved in that coming up in just a little bit. First of all, the snow. This time, go to Indianapolis. Winter storm covering the Indianapolis area. Some of you have seen 5 inches of snow so far today. Most schools are closed in central Indiana. It's making for obviously a fun time for the kids, but state police say it's potentially dangerous. Obviously, if you are traveling today, give yourself extra time to get to your destination and drive slowly and cautiously. Another couple inches of snow are possible in the Indianapolis area this afternoon, through this afternoon and this evening. So far, again, you've seen as much as 5 inches of accumulation in central Indiana. Going to the satellite picture here, this is our enhanced view, and where you see the blue shading, that is where the coldest cloud tops exist. Right now, The coldest cloud tops are not so much in the Indianapolis area, but back across Illinois. This is, by the way, where the upper level low is located. And as it moves northeastward into Indiana this afternoon, it looks like you could very well have another burst of moderate snowfall, which could add to the accumulation you have seen so far. Surface lows, this is kind of a complicated pattern at the surface. One surface low in association with the Arctic front over north central Iowa, and a second one moving through Indianapolis this morning with the light snowfall in your vicinity. Up the road a bit, snow falling in Chicago as well. You've had a few inches of accumulation. Radar confirms that snow continues to come down. Let's get the latest now as we go live to Sergeant Robert Dahlberg. He's of the Illinois State Police in Chicago. Sergeant, thanks a lot for joining us.
Good morning, Rick.
Light snow in your area right now. Can you give us a status report on the area highways?
Yes, we've had about 2 or 3 inches of snow in the northern and southern suburbs of Chicago. All the roads are snow covered. Obviously, the plows are trying to keep up and salt them, but they're having a terrible time. We've had a lot of accidents in the south suburbs of, let's say, the Tinley Park, Country Club Hills area on Interstate 80. And we've had a lot of accidents on Illinois Route 53, Interstate 290 around Palatine and Rolling Meadows.
Well, most folks are used to driving in snow and ice in Chicago, but would you say in this case there are more accidents than in a typical winter storm?
Yes, it just seems this is the first major storm we've had, Rick, in a while up here. And this has been the biggest one so far this year that I can remember, where we've had, several inches. It started about overnight, I'm not sure what time, but it was terrible on the ride in this morning. It was, the travel times are tremendous this morning at rush hour.
Snow intensity, we do have an east to northeast wind today. Does that mean near the lakefront, maybe is the snow coming down a little bit heavier closer to the lake, or is it about the same intensity everywhere?
It seems to be heavier out in the south and western areas of Cook County. Around the lakefront, it's just been light snow, as well as where I'm at now in Chicago, and it's not been as bad over here as it has been out in the south, where we're getting the icing conditions along with the snow.
All right, thank you very much, Sergeant Robert Dahlberg. He's with the Illinois State Police in Chicago. Let's talk about severe weather. We've had that as well the last couple of days. Unstable air mixing with moisture coming out of the Gulf. Head of a cold front, severe weather yesterday. You can see the pea-sized hail that accumulated here in LaGrange, Georgia, in the west central part of the state. Some areas had up to quarter-size hail, golf ball-size hail on Wednesday. There were scattered reports of severe weather across the south. As you can see, a couple in Georgia, some in Alabama, Mississippi, and the panhandle of Florida. Today, the threat of severe weather is the greatest in southeast Georgia and central and northeast Florida. We do have a tornado watch, as you can see, in effect, including you folks in Jacksonville, Gainesville, and Ocala, and just about as far south as Tampa. And radar confirms that we have a rather strong line of thunderstorms in this vicinity. They look like they have weakened slightly in the last hour, as you can tell here as the radar goes into motion, but with temperatures in the 70s and the atmosphere destabilizing as the day unfolds, those storms could re-intensify at any time. So we urge you folks in southeast Georgia and Florida to stay with us for the latest, not to mention the frozen precipitation in the mid-Atlantic and northeast. We're going to check that out right now with our forecast maps. Look at the west too. Let's go back to the studio. Here's Will.
Okay, Rick, once again, we'll talk about everything that will be happening in the east over the weekend, including some more Arctic air. But as the eastern half of the country prepares to grip with the Arctic chill this weekend, warmer weather is adding to a rough situation across the west. Snowmelt continues to pump up the Feather River in central California, by the way, long after the heavy rains have ended. The rising water is forcing more people to evacuate. There is also the problem of hazardous materials with cracked diesel and propane tanks leaking into the river. So the situation, again, is far from getting better over most of central California. A bad situation there. Take a look at what's happening right now. Not so bad weather-wise, as we're looking at that ridge of high pressure beginning to protect much of the west right now from looking at any more stormy weather. The far Pacific Northwest, mainly in Washington State, could be looking at a few more showers this afternoon. Locally, dense fog now beginning to lift and dissipate over central California. But again, we'll be looking at some more dry weather for the next several days. And temperatures not all that bad, especially in central and southern California. Again, that means the cleanup operations around Reno and also around the San Joaquin and Sacramento valleys will be able to continue right through the upcoming weekend. Looking at our current weather map, you can see all of the snow in the Midwest right now. Rain locally heavy in northeastern Florida, Jacksonville into the eastern Carolinas. We'll be watching out for this situation for more severe weather this afternoon. And there is your snow breaking out in Pennsylvania. Icy weather from Columbus out northward. Again, we'll pick up some more snows. Some substantial again over the entire upcoming